Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. The last session, the best for the last. All right, we've got the most fantastic group of ladies here who have been there, done that, and how. So, really excited to hear about everybody, your journeys, and whatnot. So, why don't we start with Michelle? Talk about just introduce yourself, tell us about your role and company, and maybe you can end it with a fun fact about yourself.
Okay, you gave me my fun fact earlier. So my name is Michelle. I'm the VP for Digital Experience in a company called Gcash. It's a Philippine company, so maybe you haven't heard of it yet, but it's actually available here as well. And the idea is it's like a Cash App or Zelle, but on steroids with many, many more features. And we basically have about 95% market penetration in the Philippines, which translates to about 92 million people. And my fun fact is that I cosplay. I'm a geek at heart.
Love that. Amanda?
Thanks. Hi, everyone. Lovely to be here. My name's Amanda Ralph. I'm the co-founder of Product Women and most recently was the product accessibility lead for Canva. I'm just about to start a new role next week, which I can't share yet, but exciting times. I'm a passionate product person. I love bringing the product community together across product design, product management and product marketing. It's something I'm really passionate about, particularly giving a voice to women in product because we still are underrepresented. We're still 35% of the Australian tech sector and product management sector in Australia. A fun fact about me, I've done a whole heap of things in my career. Probably the most crazy thing I did was I wrote for Dolly Doctor. Any of you that are old enough to know Dolly magazine, I was the person that wrote the Dolly Doctor articles, the first sort of iteration of those, and they'd then go to the face of Dolly Doctor and she would put her overlay on them. But yeah, I was pretty popular amongst my daughter's friends. They used to come to me for advice. Thanks, Teresa.
Love that.
Hey everyone, I'm Teresa. I'm head of product in Bupa. You guys know Bupa? Yeah, great. And part-time, I am a big product geek. I also run my own YouTube channel and just building video content around product management, leadership, just any kind of piece of information that can help anyone trying to break into product or trying to kind of climb the ladder in product or just doing any types of product domain and roles. Fun fact for me, I'm not really fun, but I play golf.
Do you have your own set of golf
Absolutely,
kits?
and shoes and clothes and hat and everything, yeah.
Love that. Awesome.
I want you to do your next YouTube broadcast in your golfing gear, Teresa.
Okay, that's a good challenge.
On a golf course.
On the golf course.
And then Michelle can cosplay.
Yeah.
Don't know what I can do on the golf course though.
All right. Looking back on your careers so far, what were the key decisions or turning points that help you accelerate for growth? I'll start with you.
Yeah, cool. I think one of the key turning points is knowing that your own career growth is within your control. As much as you are sitting in an organization, you've got a leader, they've got a funnel for you to do growth and development. Sometimes there's no budget. If you're lucky, you get budget. But at the same time, for me, was take what you can, what the organization give you or what your leader can give you. But at the same time, run a parallel line in terms of if you want to accelerate. So one of the things I did was kind of go outside of my company, join my friend's startup, and run it for 6 years. For me, I didn't have a product title at all. So for me, it was how do I find the quickest path, the most deepest path to learn that product domain? So then I can, go back to kind of corporate and have that. So it was done in parallel, part-time. When I was younger, actually, had more energy. But for me, that landed my first product role when we launched after 12 months, telling my boss, hey, this is what I did outside. She was like, you're hungry, huh? And I'm like, well, yeah, I really want to learn what it is in product. And if the organization can't give me the capacity, the space, or the skill set, I'm going to find it elsewhere. So for me, it's really about, it's within our control. And how fast you want to run is up to you, but be creative as well.
How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, I think in a similar vein, I think one of my previous bosses gave me some really great advice, which is that your career is like a jungle gym, not like a ladder. And if you think about a jungle gym, you don't just go straight up vertically. You climb to the side, you might go down, you might go over there because that looks interesting, and then make your way up. And I think in terms of managing my own career growth, I think I've been, in the latter part of my career, focused on the purpose of the roles that I've done and what personal growth that will give me in terms of new skills, new domains, working with people and markets that I might not have worked with before. So I look at growth not necessarily as a title thing, but about what's the opportunity it's going to give me in terms of professional satisfaction and also the value I can then return to the company that I'm working with and the role that I'm in. And I think that has actually taken a whole lot of angst out of the growth journey, because it's made me very focused about what do I value, what's the value I can give to the organisations that I work with and work for, and how can we both, I guess, be successful in that growth journey. And that has meant, I've led big teams, I've led distributed teams internationally, and I've done roles where I'm just an individual contributor, and I've found value in all of those and growth across all of those roles.
Michelle?
Yeah, I think for me, it's a little bit the opposite of Teresa, where she wanted to really take control of her career. I kind of just rolled with it. There were a lot of different roles and functions that I was asked to take on that I had no idea how to do. I started off in visual merchandising, but I was a psychology graduate. And then I moved to sales, and then they said, oh, we need someone for analytics, and then marketing, and then HR, and now I'm in digital experience. And each time I asked myself, you really want to do this? You don't have any idea how. You weren't trained, you weren't taught. And I was like, no, it's okay. I will learn it. And if I don't know how to do it, I'll admit that I don't know how. So will someone teach me, or can I go back to the previous role? And I think that that's been like something that has truly helped me expand my knowledge, because I could have chosen to stick with one thing and be an expert in that field. There's nothing wrong with that as well. But when you, I guess, want to have a broader understanding of consumers and organizations, you have to try something different every few years. So that's how it's been for me.
Yeah. Richard Branson once said, say yes and figure it out. And if you do not like it, just discard it. I mean, life is too short and should not take it so seriously. Appreciate it.
I think that piece too about some vulnerability and not necessarily having all the answers. It's something I learned. I'm a bit slow sometimes, and I learned later in life rather than earlier. And I'm trying to impart to my adult daughters as they start to navigate through their career. You don't need all the answers, and it's actually okay to have that conversation with the people that you trust in your organisation, to ask them to collaborate. Collaboration is something I see as a really strong skill and something that I try and index for when I'm hiring people into my teams. Are they able to collaborate? Are they able to be okay with actually letting it be known that they don't have all the answers, they don't know everything, and taking it forward from there. So I think that's a really important thing in terms of driving that growth as well.
Awesome. Talking about technologies, we have seen different companies present different things. How have you leveraged technology, and if there's anything that has genuinely helped you to become more effective, impactful, or confident in your role that you would like to call out? Anybody?
Yeah, I can. So two things. One is, or two technologies. One, everybody knows, ChatGPT, my best friend. So I use ChatGPT more for researching, sourcing. Obviously, I validate everything I take in, because not everything that they've sourced is truth. And then two is really helping me structure communication. So sometimes what I find it's really, really good at is sometimes you just got a blurt of what you want to talk about, but then you throw in ChatGPT, you ask it for help, for you to kind of be concise because it's for an exec, or go a little bit detail because it's for the team to expand on context. So I think that's really, really helped me. And the other one is a tool called Notion. I don't know if everyone uses it, but it's kind of like my notepad that I go to when I have ideas or thinking about work, how to solve team problems, how to solve people problems, or even platform problems. It's just a quick kind of digital drop down that I use to collect kind of all the ideas that I have.
Sweet. Awesome. How about you guys?
Yeah, I have been using Claude to do some of the sort of more laborious product things like writing acceptance criteria, and I've written prompts to help me with writing requirements, acceptance criteria, and other things. I think the thing I love the most is Miro. I'm a big user of Miro, and I can be quite chaotic in terms of how my ideas land, and so I can just end up with heaps and heaps of cards or post-it notes. And the AI capability in Miro, where you can select and say, okay, now reorganize all of these for me in a thematic, it's fantastic. Like, it does all of that thinking for me. So I've done the heavy lifting in terms of the thoughts, but then it does the piece around curating them and putting them into thematics, which gives me a much more structured kind of baseline to work from.
Oh, I'm going to use that. What about you, Michelle?
Well, I have 3 things, so I'll keep it quick. The first one is Figma. My job is experience design, so basically making sure my flows are correct from the lo-fi all the way to the hi-fi. That's been a really important tool for me and my team. The second one is Entropic, which is an emotion AI tool. So after our screens are all done, I will send out my prototype to, I guess, about 1,000 subjects, and they will test out the prototype. And through Emotion AI, I'll be able to figure out what's happening in the screen. Do they like this? Are they confused? Is this something that works for us? Oh, do I need to move the button down a little lower? Those little details. And obviously, why we're here today, I also use Content Square to be able to figure out whatever it was that we tested and developed. Is it actually working? Did we get it right? And if we didn't, what do we need to tweak to be able to make the experience better for our customers?
Awesome, thank you. By the way, for the audience, you can anytime scan the QR code and ask any questions for any of the wonderful ladies that we have on the stage. To next question, do you have any daily or weekly habit that you swear by to be high functioning, going and getting done? Anything that you would like to share?
For me, there's, so one for daily, well, 3 to 4 times a day, 4 times a week, is exercising. For me, I'm not a big exerciser. It's always been like, health, but I had to kind of frame it because I think I need mental clarity. As a leader, you've got 100 employees within your area. I need mental clarity, and I know exercise helps that. So it's just reframing that to get 20 to 30 minutes of cardio, riding on a bike, not running, as much as I can throughout the week, because it does help me. And so just getting through that hurdle, that mental hurdle of putting your stuff on, just getting on the bike and ride, and knowing that the outcome is that I'll get mental clarity is one of my big things. The next one is about my blocking 8 hours a week to have critical thinking time as a leader. I think that's a really critical kind of principle that I want to, keep doing that by. A lot of the times we are in meetings back to back being reactive, but for me, I don't think I can be reactive because it impacts all my teams and cascades down. I guess you guys can feel it, all the different jarring decisions that's being made, like WTF, what just happened? I was just working on this piece, why am I somewhere else? And so for me, it's like being more proactive and have deeper thinking and have long strategic about 1 to 2 years out rather than being kind of reactive day to day for my team.
Awesome. Is that 8 hours outside of work hours?
No, 8 hours. You've got to fit that. The challenge is fitting 8 hours in your calendar, and you have to be quite strict saying, I'm not going to go to that meeting. Because what I found is that if I keep going to that meeting, we're having the same conversation 4 weeks into it, we're still in the same cycle. So if it's important, I'm sure someone's going to call you. So I think it's being strict with your calendar, book it out. I did tell my boss, if it's important, please call me. She hasn't called me yet. But I think it's really important that we take time out and 4-hour blocks. So this week I've only achieved 4 hours. It's not like always on, but for me, it's trying to block out that 8 hours so I can have critical thinking.
Yeah. It's like the 80-20 rule. Like every week, remove
Yeah.
the 20% and you'll reach to the
Absolutely,
potential.
yeah, absolutely. And it's all on us. Like, we have control, right, to book it out. We have control to decline meetings. And if people want to say something, they can say it in email sometimes. So for me, I'm finding that it's a really big thing, and it actually changed the way I lead. It has impact on my people, of their well-being as well. They're not context switching every single time. They are able to be also high performing. And so if you demonstrate that, and I encourage my direct reports also to have 8 hours if they can find it.
Awesome. Michelle, what about you?
The exercise is definitely something I do as well. I don't play golf, but I do play tennis. So 4 to 5 times a week, I'll be on the court just playing and not having to think. You know, when you're hitting the ball, everything has to fall in place. Like there's so many different things to put into that there's no room for me to be thinking about, oh, what happened in my meeting today, or oh, my boss was not happy with this. There's no room for that. So you can empty yourself out and you can be filled again the next day. And I also make sure that every day I have a few minutes, maybe 30 minutes, with my cats, cuddle and playtime, because it just gives me some sort of peace and quiet. And I'm not on a screen. I'm not talking to anyone. Well, I'm talking to them, but they can't talk back. So, so I feel like just having that kind of interaction with someone who won't really say anything and just enjoy the moment with you is very, very important for your own sanity.
Yeah, fair. Amanda, do you have anything to add?
I walk my puppy every day. It's only half an hour, 40 minutes, but I like getting out and walking. I think I lost my husband last year after a 3.5-year battle with melanoma, and it has an amazing ability to sharpen and give you clarity around what's important in life. And I think I've become more ruthless in terms of prioritising my time and being ruthless in a nice way about, is the meeting that you're wanting me to come to, do I need to be there? If it doesn't have an agenda or a purpose, then I'll just decline. So that, and people know that, so it actually puts the onus on them to be a little bit more focused around what they're wanting you to meet with them about. And then turning off at 6 o'clock, I switch off. That's time for me to cook. I love cooking. I watch a lot of reality TV with my kids. I know that's probably a dirty little secret, but it's that.
That's a fun fact.
It is a fun fact. It's that time of just not thinking about other things and just connecting with my family and having that time, which I've been reminded is just so incredibly precious.
Yeah. Thank you for being vulnerable. And I must say, I remember the airplane analogy, like put a mask on yourself first before you try to save others. So if you don't carve time for yourself, you're going to go crazy. So it's good for you to decompress and then be ready for the next battle. So that's great. Any podcasts or books or courses that you have taken that has shaped or restructured the way you think or look at life?
For me, I listen to AI Daily. It's a podcast, 20 minutes. Because AI is such a hot topic, for me, it's like, how do I just stay on top of it? So AI Daily on Spotify is pretty good. The first 10 minutes is all ads, so just rewind that. The next 20 minutes is actually just about, what are the big players out there are doing. Half the time there's really nothing. It's just about their kind of assumptions, what they're going to do. This is coming up. It talks about, jobs and how does it replacing. It actually is quite real, and I think the person who's hosting it is trying to get as much as information from Silicon Valley as possible. And so for me, that's how I kind of quickly stay on top, because I am, within technology in my background, in digital as well. So that's one. And the other one is a book. It's by Barbara Mento. It's called The Pyramid. Oh God, now I forgot.
Principle.
Thank you, Amanda. Something big we read in product. It's not just a product. It's about communication. It's all about how you structure your communication to kind of manage up and then manage down. It's how you kind of group information in logical orders to be able to kind of communicate at different types of levels. So for me, it's definitely a really big reread and reread again every single year for me to kind of really help me kind of perfect my communication depending on who's in the room for the audience.
Nice. Anything that you guys want to mention?
I follow Marty Kagan's Silicon Valley Group blog. I've read his books, but I like the blog. It's much more up to date. It's an easy read. You get a blog that's probably a 10 or 15 minute read, and I find that really prompts my thinking. And I can't remember the author of the book Invisible Women is one that I go back to. It's Caroline, I can't remember her surname, but it's about designing for inclusion and how women are often overlooked in the product development and product design process, and often to our detriment. When you think about things like safety features in cars, for example, women are much more likely to be seriously injured in a car crash because all the test dummies were based on men. And it's a narrative about that, and I hold myself to making sure that my products are designed more inclusively and built more inclusively.
Okay, so I'm guilty of not listening to any podcasts. I've outsourced it. So my team and I, once a month, we get together, and it's like 3 hours on a Wednesday. And we'll just talk about new stuff, like anything that they've seen on an app or a website or even an actual place that is interesting. Not necessarily related to our app or not necessarily something that we'd like to build for the company, but just something intriguing, something different. Could be something that, yes, we want it for our own app, but also as a friend, maybe you want to go and experience this for yourself. And I've found that I come from a very different age group as my team. They're like in their early 20s and I'm in my 40s, so we don't go to the same places. So I feel it's super enriching because I find out about all these things I would never search for on my own, even things I may not even be interested about, and they talk about it, and then we all look at it on a screen or we plan a trip there, and new experience, new learnings. So yeah, I've outsourced this whole thing.
I love that. You don't need to do it yourself, it's a team effort. I love that. I love this question personally. Can you share a time where you faced rejection or a professional setback, anything that kind of made you question things at that moment, and what helped you move through it and come out stronger? I know you have a great answer, Teresa.
I do?
Yeah, you do.
I think, so I was thinking about this question, and it was really like, I can talk about all the failure projects that we've gone through, but I don't think that's really helpful. I think the one that could be helpful for you guys, I don't know if you guys have been in this environment, but it's probably a rejection from your leader. So leaders move around, and, we have different styles, and some work and some absolutely doesn't work. And I think the rejection was more the area where it didn't work. And my leader, whatever I brought up, everything was just wrong. And you couldn't pinpoint what was wrong because the feedback was very generic, right? Oh, that's not the way I want it. I'll do it again. And one time, I guess he did say, why do you want to climb the ladder so much? Or why do you want to, grow in your career? Because there's a cap for you. And when he says a cap, is because, one, I'm a woman, and two, because of my background, my ethnic background. And being technology during the time, there was a lot of men, and some executive suites are still a lot of male, a lot of Caucasian look-alike. They don't look like me, so it's hard to kind of fight for that. So for me, obviously, it's really, really confronting about, wow, okay, well, I should just go walk the dog or something to have a different business where I don't have to climb this ladder. But no, for me, it's like let's just reframe that in my mind, right? They don't know me. They haven't known me for a while. And for me, it's like, cool, what is one thing I can learn from this leader that is really, really good at in terms of their skills that I can just melt the crap out of it while I have this period with that person? And two is, how do I actually branch out of my ecosystem and find leaders who are, who is what good looks like, who are more compassionate. There's got to be some compassionate leaders out there, right? And build that network. I think your network is going to boost your confidence. Your network is going to give you honest, feedback, but they with really, really strong, good intention to help you lift as well. And so that's what I've kind of anchored on. And I hope in terms of moving the needle, my content, just being here can, help one person in this room to just stand up and go, I could do this myself, or I can do this by building a really strong network around me.
I love that. I think it's so easy for us to hate someone for that one thing.
Yeah.
And the fact that you flip that narrative and be like, I'm sure there's something that I can learn from that person and look at them from a different lens is so important. And when you're in the deep, you don't necessarily think that. So that's a great advice. Thank you. What about you, Amanda?
Yeah, I think the tech sector can be really brutal, and I've experienced that brutality in the last little while, been laid off from more than one role actually, and I think it's really important. Two things is, one is take the time to lick your wounds and acknowledge that it's really shit. Like, it really does not feel good, and that's okay. Just spend a bit of time having those feelings, but then you really need to take note of the fact that it's not personal. And lift yourself out of that. And to Therese's point, reaffirm the value that you bring to an organisation and the value that you bring to a role. And it makes you really focus on that and build a narrative that celebrates that value that you have and those skills and experience that you have, and take that narrative to market and have those conversations with people. They might not be formal interviews, but they're leveraging those networks, having those conversations, and you can do that with confidence, and I think that confidence really shines through. And it's one of the reasons I founded Product Women, was to grow that community. And I love Product Women because it's such a egoless community of kick-ass women who just want to get together and support each other and have those conversations. So I think, it's a bit sad that it's happening so regularly in the tech sector, particularly at present. But yeah, just know that you're not alone, that it's okay to acknowledge that it's really, really sucks, but yeah, pick yourself up, and you are of value and you have something to offer.
Michelle?
Yeah, I think when you say rejected, it's normally rejected for an idea, something you pitched, or rejected because you're not doing well in your role. I used to work for a company that was very male-dominated, and I was their diversity hire. I was in all of the photos for recruitment days, and they're like, we celebrate diversity and we have women executives in our company. But privately, I was pulled aside and told that, you're doing an excellent job, your numbers are so high, doing so much for this business, but you're just a little too distracting. And I asked, what does that mean, distracting? The way you look, the way you dress, it's just a little too much. And people can't focus. And I said, who exactly are these people? And they couldn't give me any names. So I went to leadership and I asked about it. Like, is there something I'm doing that's wrong, that's not good for this company, that you feel it doesn't belong here? And funnily, no one could say what it was. And I started by thinking I should be angry about this. But then I realized, and somebody asked us about this earlier, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to be a leader in a company that doesn't share my values. I don't want to be a CEO and pretend to be someone I'm not. So I went and took my skills to a company that said, we love that you have blue hair. And we actually listen to your ideas more because you look different. And that means that you understand our customers who are also different. If we were all the same, then there's no innovation. There's nothing new that'll come out. So that for me was rejection, but it was okay.
Yeah.
I'm happier for it.
If there's rejection, that's when it gets spicier, right? Otherwise, you will never enjoy the sweet fruits that comes after it. So it's like that hump that you need to go through. And I liked what you said earlier to one of the ladies, that, it shouldn't be, I like you in spite of who you are, but it should be, I love you because of everything that you are. And I think that is extremely profound. Thank you for sharing. We have some great questions. I'm ditching my questionnaire so I can pick some up from here. And I see a trend or a bit of a theme here. For women in digital, have you had or felt the pressure of balancing family responsibilities, or how do you look at creating a career while you have to keep an upkeep of your house, kids, and maternity leave? How does that impact? How do other people in the management see when someone goes into maternity leave? How would you advise people to navigate through that journey?
Can I
Please.
kick off?
Yes.
I think there's a lot. It's a lot better now than it used to be. I think a lot of men are taking parental leave, which is really good. That's become common now. So it's both parents. If it's a co-gendered relationship, taking leave, and it's really hard. But it is really hard. And I think one of the things that I've had to learn to do over my career is perfection's not a realistic target. Like, I can't be the perfect mother and the perfect product person either. So it's a balance. And for me at home, what that means is if my bathroom's clean and the rest of the house looks like a bomb's hit it, then I'm okay with that, right? Are the kids fed? Yep, they might have Vegemite all over their face, but they're fed. It's all okay. And it's also prioritising at work, that ruthless prioritisation of what is the stuff that really matters at work that I need to focus on, and what is the stuff that I can delegate to others in my team or let through to the keeper, so that it's not, I don't have to keep all of these balls in the air. I can manage and get balance if I'm a bit more ruthless in terms of how I prioritise things. And I think it actually is. My girls are, well, they're women now. They're in their 20s, and we have lots of conversations. And one of them said to me the other day that they really appreciate seeing me manage that career and family, and seeing me not do everything well all the time. It's actually a good lesson for them around how they might want to balance their life. And they're now starting their careers and thinking about starting their own families, etc. So I feel as a parent that at least I've done something right in giving them the less than perfect role model to actually work out how to approach it.
Yeah, awesome.
For me, I'm quite lucky. I've got a wife who had the child, and she's a full-time mum. Also very hard. Like, I can't compete. I can't be a full-time mum. So I'm checked out there. But she loves it, right? So she loves it, and it all comes to about I guess I'm not trying to give relationship advice. It's about an agreement around like how you want to, I guess, create a harmony between work and life as well. And I don't use the word balance because someone told me it's about harmony. When you say balance, we're always trying to split it within percentage-wise. 50-50, you're always going to lose when you're doing really, when you climb the ladder, you're putting more percentage than your family. And so it's about kind of reframing the harmony. So I'm quite lucky. She takes care of my little girl. Our little girl, sorry, 4.5 years old. And so for me, I know she's safe. I know she's great, and go home, I do the night shifts, been taken care of. In terms of work and my team, for me, family is number one, right? It's number one priority. And for me, if I can demonstrate I care about my family, I care about your family, it puts my team in a really good state. Because we always want your team to run a mile or 2-3 miles, double the time that you're going to give them. Some people are like, oh, why can't they work overtime? It's like, well, you haven't given them the autonomy. You haven't shown them. What I've shown, if we care about everything around their life, around family and work, they're able to clock more hours because they want to, not because you've asked them to. And that's the kind of team we want to create more of. And I'm really lucky because Bupa is actually it's a hybrid. We don't get asked to come into the office for days, but we have people come into the office. So it's a different culture. You don't push that onto them. You give them the support that they need to be able to do their best work around the hours that they need to be here, and you support their family as well. So I think for me is about continue on demonstrating that as a leader and to your people, and have a bit of a safe environment to do it in.
Nice. Michelle?
Not the most credible speaker on this topic as I don't have kids, but I'm very fortunate to work in an organization where I would say 80% of our executives and our leaders are female. It's very big matriarchal culture in the Philippines. We actually don't have a gender gap in terms of hiring or salary. Women actually earn more money than men in the Philippines. So we see that when someone gets pregnant, you know 9 months in advance. Well, 7 months, and usually in our case, someone will say something at 7 months before. So there's enough time to be able to hire or to prepare for that long maternity leave, and everybody in the team steps up to make sure that that role is filled. Obviously, not permanently because we expect the person to want to come back after her leave, but if you work in an organization where you see women leaders taking care of each other and their teams, you know you have to do the same thing. So while I may not have children, I have someone in my team who is on the way to having her first baby. And so I think 2 weeks after she told us, then the whole team was like planning around that. Like, how are we going to make sure that we're not going to stress her out once she's like leading up to, not even during maternity leave, but leading up to that. We don't want her to be too stressed. Make sure that, you know, she's not doing too much. Didn't ask her to come to the office anymore. Just take your calls on Zoom. So you don't have to be in that exact spot to take care of the team that you're working with. And you don't even have to be their boss to take care of them. So I speak to the men in this room as well, that if you know that there's that situation in your office, which there will be for sure, step up, help out, and just make that environment much better for everybody.
And you'll be surprised with kindness, there's so much more that they are ready to put in. And that, because otherwise, you know, fear or anxiety only takes you to a certain spot. So the fact that you're giving them that environment of support, you will end up having them really scraping off for work, for sure. In relation to this topic, one of the questions was, what is one piece of advice or knowledge would you share with a male counterpart that might help to accelerate the growth of women in their team?
I think that that's something I'm always advocating for. Is I think women are. I mean, it's a stereotype, but I think women are generally less likely to be assertive in terms of putting on the table what their ambitions are or what they're actually seeking and promote themselves. They might be less deliberate in putting their hands up for opportunities because they, you know, that classic thing, oh, I've got 8 of the attributes, but I don't have the last 2, so I'm not qualified to do this project or this role. So I think, you know, I would say to the male allies, you know, in this room and in market is maybe understand that might be at play, and so work to deliberately draw that out from the women that are in your teams to make sure that they can actually take advantage of opportunities and that you can take advantage of the amazing skills that they probably have.
Anything else to add from Teresa or Michelle?
I'd say there's a lot of unconscious bias, meaning I don't think that men are intentionally trying to make women's lives harder. It's not like they were told to do that from the very beginning, right? But sometimes it's unconscious. So what I would definitely say is before you react or respond, how would you react or respond if a man said that? Would it be the same? So it's just something more conscious, you know, just think about it first before you say something.
Yeah, fair. Do you have anything to
Yeah,
add?
I think for me, just reflecting back on International Women's Day, I did a talk at IBM, and one of the things is like around AI, right? And so a lot of women said that, oh my God, I have no idea what's going on. There's a lot of men are creating AI, they're creating different models that turn out to be like typical female. One of the things I sent to my team, and it's on all of them, it's the first time I've sent it to the whole entire group instead of female, is that I've seen how they collaborate without the gender bias. And my kind of message to all of them is like, if you have a skill in AI, or if you know more about AI, because I know a lot of the male do, teach another female something about AI that you know. Share that learning, share the experience, share your resources, so they can feel like they're not left behind and they can feel like they're also on par, and collaborate with them. And I think that's the best thing we could do, because I know sometimes, there's very heavy technology topics, a lot of male dominance, and some female may just be entering technology and they feel a little bit, left behind. And so for me is just share your knowledge, share what you know, because, you just never know how we collaborate and how we can be very, very impactful in that way.
Yeah, awesome. We got a lot of likes for this question, so I'm going to go for it next. What advice would you give someone stuck in middle management and unsure how to make the next big leap in their career, especially in an organization with low SLT, ELT turnover? I'm not sure what that stands
Senior
for.
leadership, executive
Right.
leadership.
Okay.
Yeah.
Especially with the turnover from the execs.
I think I can take this one.
Yeah.
Volunteer for crazy projects. I've done it many times. I think when you try to do something people don't expect you to do or don't expect you to know how to do, they'll take a little bit more notice when you've actually done it and done it successfully. And I know a lot of people worry, but I don't want to do it because I don't know how. But that's where your networking skills come in. You talk to people who actually know how to do it. So you get visibility on that level first, that group of people. And then when you take that idea to senior leadership, those people that you asked will most likely be in the same room or consulted because that's their expertise. So then you have a room full of people who have supported you on that journey, and management is like, do you agree with this person? And they're like, yes. So there's your visibility and hopefully success.
Nice.
Yeah, I think we spoke a bit about personal branding. And so for me is thinking creative outside the box. Like if the ladder is like, when you go to the top, there's less roles for you. And so then it gets kind of capped in terms of number of placement. And then for me, it's thinking about, how do you start to build your personal brand within the organization, but also outside of your organization. LinkedIn is a great place for people's opinions, what people are really passionate about. Start to think about who you are, like your personal brand. What do you care about? What do you actually, what kind of domains you're really, really well known for? Because when you put yourself out there, you just don't know what opportunity would land on your lap. Recruiters are definitely hunting things down. There are hiring managers also looking across LinkedIn. Events like this, we're definitely like, we may not go, hey, we're open for hire, but we're definitely open for consideration in our head while we're going through new roles around, hey, I might be opening a new business line. Who should we be placing? So I think start to thinking about your personal brand if you do reach a limit. Because, there is like 5 seats. You definitely can't, move in tomorrow. But it's thinking about a different avenue for yourself as well.
I would say to add to that, like don't be the person to say no to yourself. Let someone else say no to you.
Yeah, that's right.
How about you, Amanda?
Yeah, I think it goes back a bit to making sure that your ambitions are known in the organisation. There might not be a role available now, but one might come up. I've created roles for myself in the past where I've actually seen a gap in terms of an opportunity in market for the business that I'm in, and I've said, look, here's an opportunity. I've done some thinking. Here's the commercial case that I think is, at hand, and I'd love the opportunity to try and deliver to that. And I've had roles that have been carved out for me to actually do that, but I've had to take the initiative to have those conversations with leadership.
I think in common the theme is butterfly effect. Like just let it known and keep talking about it, and I'm sure it will come to you at some point. I know we are up with time, and I hope this session was really very meaningful to all of you. And thank you so much, ladies, for being vulnerable and speaking your heart. It was truly enjoyable for me, especially, for sure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.